It began just before dawn on March 19th, 2010, when a hiker on the Galloping Goose Trail spotted smoke curling from beneath the Colwood overpass. Beneath the bridge, a duffel bag lay half open, its synthetic fibers charred. Inside, the burned remains of Emma Calder. She'd been bound, beaten, suffocated, mutilated, then set ablaze. In that silent ravine, a teenage life had ended in an explosion of brutal violence. The shocking nature of the crime, an 18-year-old strangled and mutilated by schoolmates before being dumped and torched, made it clear this wasn't random. It was a horror meticulously planned to shock community into silence. Emma was born January 1st, 1992, hence the nickname Baby New Year. Friends describe her as a gentle soul. Her room at home overflowed with lizards, hamsters, and rabbits. She was earnest, polite, and quietly intelligent, working a part-time job while saving for college. Her mother, Margaret Calder, later said that Emma loved animals more than anyone I knew. She dreamed of caring for others, perhaps through animal therapy or veterinary work. That Thursday in March, she had planned to babysit and meet a friend after school. No one suspected that under the calm surface, two classmates, 16-year-old Tyler Ashcroft and 17-year-old Brandon Kessler, were plotting something monstrous. Both boys came from troubled backgrounds. Tyler, the son of a convicted murderer with explosive anger and a fascination with violence. Brandon battled ADHD, familial trauma, and emotional detachment. Alone, each was dangerous, but together, they became a horrific duo. On March 18th, they texted Emma to drop by Tyler's house after school. To talk, they claimed. They showered her with seemingly innocent invitations, then turned those texts into a digital trap. Investigators later recovered messages where they bragged about luring her over, draped in casual ease that disguised the violence to come. At Tyler's home, the assault began with ropes and duct tape. Emma begged through the gag, her muffled pleas unheard by anyone outside that dark room. For hours, she was tortured, strangled, beaten, stabbed, violated. A post-mortem revealed signs of prolonged agony and humiliation. One of the most disturbing details revealed during the trial was their cold calculation. They stored her body overnight in a freezer. The next morning, they placed her remains in a duffel bag, boarded a bus together, and dumped her beneath the same overpass, then set her ablaze with gasoline brought from the garage. The RCMP Major Crime Unit arrived, confronted by fresh gray smoke, interrupted birdsong, and community's horror. Officers documented footprints, burned fibers, and footprints leading to clues. The duffel bag was from Tyler's house. GPS pings placed their phones near the scene, and a Publibus camera caught both boys boarding just an hour earlier. Inside their home, police found duct tape remnants, knife blades, and digital traces, text logs showing the chilling message, "We should do it again." Yet the most damning evidence was their own voice. In a wiretap jail transport, they laughed about the crime, unashamed. In October 2010, both pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and indignity to human remains. During the April 2011 sentencing, BC Supreme Court Justice Robert Johnston lifted publication bans, stating, "The circumstances of this murder so horrific that no words can adequately convey the inhuman cruelty these young men showed." They received life sentences as adults, with no eligibility for parole until at least 2020. Emma's family, shattered, felt no relief when the gavel fell. In court, Emma's father, David Calder, whispered through tears, "They're not animals, they're monsters." Her mother called them evil incarnate. Her grief never healed. Instead, it propelled action. They urged BC to expand law, targeting mental health screening and digital monitoring for at-risk teens. Community rallies, school awareness days, and campaign letters became their lifelines, an attempt to prevent another tragedy born from teenage fury and hidden malice. Parole eligibility loomed in 2020 and again in 2024. In both years, Tyler Ashcroft was denied day parole, and Brandon Kessler similarly rejected, thanks to psychiatric evaluations warning of psychopathic traits, ongoing high risk, sexual deviance, and violent outbursts. In denying parole for Ashcroft, the board noted his lack of genuine remorse and even recent emotional breakdowns without formal rehabilitation. For Emma's survivors, every parole hearing was a fresh wound. David himself said, "We live the life sentence. We are the lifers." But beneath the legal facts, a more troubling pattern began to emerge. In early 2025, investigators reopened the digital investigation. They uncovered encrypted chat logs from alt-tech forums where Tyler and Brandon participated in discussions fetishizing violence and destruction. They praised the burning of property, glorified the word chaos, talked about the next bloom, coded hints referencing revenge or bloodshed, symbols matching scratches found in Tyler's basement, keys to some hidden ideology, linked them to digital echo chambers where violence is celebrated. With this data, the RCMP quietly launched a probe into other unsolved missing teens from Vancouver Island, 2008 to 2012, cross-referencing shared usernames, obscure timestamps, and school gossip. One girl gone missing in February 2009 had posted eerie messages about waiting for the next big thing. Now, investigators wonder if her disappearance shares DNA with Emma's case. Privately, forensic teams are researching preserved evidence. This is no longer about two disturbed teens. It's possibly the tip of something more organized, a virtual cult letting real-world horror unfold. Meanwhile, the Calder family has refocused their mission. Margaret and David Calder collaborated with the RCMP to deliver digital literacy workshops titled Aware Before Click. At more than 20 schools, they speak about red flags, changes in online behavior, secretive apps, and teenage silence hiding violent intent. Their foundation also funds mental health outreach and digital guardianship training, urging parents to ask not only who are they talking to, but what are they typing? Public sentiment in Colwood shifted. The community erected a memorial plaque beneath the trail bridge. Simple words, remembering Emma. May we never forget. Occasionally, visitors place stones and notes. Local police maintain a quiet vigil on anniversaries. Parents walk their children to school, asking about classmates. In this gentle suburb, trust fractured and rebuilding took vigilance. And yet, the virtual network remains active. A 2025 insider, whose identity is withheld for safety, contacted detectives last January. They revealed they saw Tyler in an encrypted chat room just before Emma's murder, posting a graphic image of a charred hockey bag. They tried reporting it anonymously, but were ignored until after the conviction. Now that user is working with police to map chat histories, identify other participants, and uncover offline meetups. Investigators have subpoenaed platforms and traced VPN exits. They've coordinated with federal cybercrime units to see if any users share IP addresses near key schools in the 2010 timeframe. A break, they believe, could expose a wider network, one that normalized violence and desensitized its participants. Teen violence, they warn, may no longer be accidental. It may be orchestrated, encouraged, shared. On a cold evening in March 2025, a screenshot was obtained by media, a chat room named Whisper Ash, where users were discussing, when the ashes settle, the next bloom begins. Investigators confirmed the screenshot matches timestamps from chat servers active during Emma's killing, but no one in the chat has yet been identified. The deeper question lingers. If Emma's murder was an echo of that virtual circle, are there other bodies buried under the silence? Today, Colwood teeters between grief and resolve. The justice system ensured no parole, yet the digital shadows remain unaccounted for. Parents delete apps, schools monitor programs, police follow virtual trails. But the anonymity of the web means predators hide behind screens, undoing safety with sly encouragement. When the anonymous insider first approached RCMP in January 2025, detectives were skeptical, another cautious whisper in a sea of digital noise. But they quickly realized this tip was different. The insider had preserved encrypted logs from the night of March 18, 2010, screenshots of a private chat room called Whisper Ash, timestamped and geotagged in Colwood. In one posted message, a user, later tied to Tyler, uploaded a graphic close-up of a burning hockey bag. No caption, no context, just the flames. Investigators confirmed the image matched the thermal signatures from Emma's body the night it was recovered. Then came the text. When ashes fall, a new bloom emerges. Experts now believe it was a twisted mission statement, marking the culmination of a premeditated ritual. Using newly subpoenaed chat logs and IP trails, the RCMP, aided by the Federal Cybercrime Unit, traced several aliases: Ashseed, Nightwatcher, and Coldcaster, to specific devices used between late 2009 and early 2012. One alias mapped to a computer in Langford near a youth outreach center. Another matched up with university housing in Victoria in 2011. No arrests have been made yet, but for the first time, it's clear Emma's murder wasn't an isolated crime. It was part of a shared ideology, a whisper network of cruelty. Undercover cyber investigations have revealed disturbing patterns. Several users posted graphic fantasies glorifying death and desensitizing themselves via staged, practiced burns on animals, property, and eventually a person. One posted a poem in 2011. We watch limbs dissolve in flame and find ourselves unbroken. Such language, once thought metaphorical, has been retroactively interpreted as recruitment rhetoric, initiating teens into a belief system that dehumanized its offers. Detectives are treating this as a form of domestic extremism, violent content shared across multiple provinces, and hence falling under federal mandates. One breakthrough came when an IT specialist cross-referenced encrypted chat logs with subway and bus records. They found that on March 18th, 2010, user Ashseed swiped a transit pass near Tyler's home at 4 p.m., then again an hour later near the Galloping Goose Trail. The same pattern repeated in 2011 and 2012. With this, RCMP obtained warrants to search residences linked to the remaining IP addresses, homes once occupied by teens now in their late 20s. Young men with unstable academic and employment histories. Some voluntarily submitted to polygraphs. In mid-2025, one suspect, let's call him R, agreed to sit down with investigators after his alias Coldcaster surfaced as having posted images eerily similar to those at the crime scene. R isn't charged, but in a recorded interview, he admitted logging into Whisper Ash frequently that spring, Admitting it felt empowering to be part of something no one else saw. He refused to confirm meeting Tyler or Brandon in person, but acknowledged emotionally cheering as one user planned the bloom in Colwood. His demeanor shifted when asked about Emma's murder, eyes downcast, voice cracking. He offered no apology, but made a single statement. "I know now it went too far." He also disclosed two other names, aliases that traced to local teens in 2009, but those leads are still under investigation. Meanwhile, the Calder family continues to grapple with their grief and the deeper questions the online investigation raises. In April 2025, Margaret Calder told a Vancouver News crew, "Justice was only step one. The real justice is making sure this never happens again, in classrooms, on screens, or behind closed doors." She finished her digital literacy tour in Victoria months ago, tears streaming as teens whispered "thank you" in the audience. David added, "Our daughter became everyone's daughter that night, and now we fight for every kid who thinks they're safe." The RCMP formally recognized the case as a national breakthrough in applying digital forensics to domestic youth violence, not just robbery or abduction, but ideologically driven murder. They've begun building a model for proactive chatroom monitoring, ethical flagging of violent content, and early intervention. Still, questions remain. How to balance privacy and prevention. How to define and police a cult of cruelty operating in chat rooms. On a chilly evening in June 2025, the investigations culminated in a discreet RCMP press conference. Select media were invited. The lead investigator announced they were preparing charges, not for murder, but conspiracy to facilitate violent acts with extremist motives against at least 3 individuals tied to Whisper Ash. He emphasized their intention not to criminalize fantasy, but to clamp down on real-world alignment with violent ideology. The Calders were present hand in hand. Margaret embraced the announcement quietly, David's shoulders tight, but eyes full. They didn't celebrate, they tolerated it as one more stage in the journey toward closure. But there is no victory. The deeper truth remains. Thousands of chatroom users remain unidentified. No teen suicide or disappearance from that era has yet been linked conclusively, and the digital networks have moved on to newer platforms, apps with ephemeral security, and closed groups that resist detection. The question now isn't whether threats lurk, it's who among us holds the key to the next act. As we close this investigation, we leave you with one final question, because the answer will shape our collective future. When cruelty hides behind usernames, how do we hold it accountable? How do we prevent the next bloom from ever emerging? Thank you for joining this journey. If you were moved or affected by Emma's story, or know someone navigating dangerous online spaces, please check the description for trusted resources. We honor Emma by staying vigilant, educating ourselves, and never turning off the lights on our children's digital worlds. Till next time, stay safe and stay aware.